Hey folks, this is Mike Tango Whiskey coming at you with an unscheduled video. I had a very interesting conversation today with a woman in the sauna. There's a co-ed sauna at the gym that I go to, and I love the sauna. It's been a hot minute since I've been in one, and I almost passed out like I was dizzy. But every time I'm in there, I do my best to engage the people around me in conversation. And I engaged this woman. She's an older woman, Hispanic. She had an accent, I was talking to her about what she did. She worked at a hospital, and her name was Blanca. And eventually I got to it, and I said, hey, we talked about jobs and family and all this other stuff. I said, where are you from? And she said she's from Central America. I said, where? She said, El Salvador. And I go, how long have you been in the US? And she told me she's been here for like 20, 30 years or something, 25, 30 years. And I said, why did you leave? And she said it had gotten too violent. So I don't know a lot about El Salvador, but apparently like in the 70s, late 70s and 80s, there was basically a civil war going on. So she told me about guerrillas, that there was a group of guerrillas. And I was thinking the FARC, but the FARC were in Colombia. And then I was thinking, I'm just throwing wild. I'm like the Sandinistas. Like, I don't know my Central American history, And she said no, and she told me the name. It was like the FLMA or something. They had an acronym. She told me about this guerrilla group and how they were fighting the government. And essentially, so this was the woman who had lived through civil war in her country. And the way she described it, there were basically three groups. There was the government, the guerrillas fighting against the government, and then everybody else who were just doing their best to live a normal life, go to school, go grocery shopping, just have a place to live, have a job. They just wanted a normal life. And it was becoming increasingly difficult. And she used to tell me that she worked in a factory 45 minutes outside of the main city where she lived. And on that drive every day, she would see bodies, and they would see decapitated corpses, and there was this constant back and forth. It sounded a lot like what you might see like with the cartel wars down in Mexico. And she told me, and I said, well, what finally made you leave? And she goes, she went to university. She was old enough finally to go to university. And the classroom she was in was on the foremost edge of the campus. Like, it was right near the entrance where you enter the campus. And one day, she was in class with her classmates, and a group of soldiers came in, and they shot everybody. They just began to shoot everybody. The person next to her, the man next to her, the boy next to her, young man, got shot, and he fell on top of her, and his blood had gotten all over her. So when the shooting stopped, she was so terrified, she just laid there. She was covered in this guy's blood, and the soldiers began walking around kicking the bodies and flipping people over to make sure that they were dead. And the soldier kicked the guy next to her, the dead guy, and rolled him over to make sure. And she said she was holding her breath, and what felt like 5 minutes, she was holding her breath, playing dead, because she was also, she looked like she'd been shot. And the soldier stopped. She said she was praying, and she was praying, holding her breath. And the soldier stopped, said something to the other soldiers. All right, that's good. Everybody's dead. And they left. Now, when she told me this story, at the end of this, I'm trying to do my best to listen intently, because she was getting emotional about this, obviously a super traumatic event. And at the end of it, she got quiet, and I said, why would the guerrillas come to a university and kill everybody? And she looks at me and she goes, it wasn't the guerrillas, it was the government. I almost pissed on myself. Like that was a twist that I didn't see happening. And I said, why even more? Like, I was, baffled at why the guerrillas would come and do this. I was even more baffled that the government would come and do this. And she said, well, at that point in the Civil War, the government was so paranoid about who was like collaborating with the guerrillas, and they were at the point where they just assumed anybody who was studying to be more and to know more and to do more was also part of that rebellion against the government. And that blew me away. We talk about Civil War and we talk about all the division in this country, and we think we see clearly on who is who and who the good guys and who the bad guys and who the enemy is and who the friends are. And it was a sobering moment for me thinking about that. And I wanted to ask her so many more questions, but she had already told her story and it was pretty emotional for her. So I didn't want to, plus my eyeballs were melting from the heat in the sauna, but it was an incredible story, and it scared me. It made me pray and hope that we never, ever get to that point here. I mean, we think we know. We think we're prepared. We think we are, we think we see clearly. And we probably don't. We don't. Anyway, I just thought that was a powerful story that I heard today, firsthand account of living through a civil war, right? What it might look like. And that just really, really struck me about who I thought in that story was the bad guy and who actually was the bad guy, right? Anyway, it's late. I should be in bed. I'm starting a new fitness routine tomorrow. Getting all jacked and excited. So anyway, this is Mike Tango Whiskey. I'm all clear.